Three of the topics that we're going to discuss are firefighting as a whole, the fire and EMS environment, and the growth that I was able to go through in this particular career. So, a few characteristics that make up firefighting include stewardship, responsibility, and integrity. So, for some agencies, these are going to be some of the core values that they build each individual upon in the probationary period. And when they are a new recruit in the new agency, they are expected to know these terms inside and out. So the primary term that stands out to me is stewardship. Stewardship to me means that we are going to be serving the general public and the community that we're responsible for within the confines of our role area, whether we work for a county agency, a municipality, or a reservation department like myself. Along with stewardship, we are bestowed with the responsibility to be proficient at our jobs, maintain our training, and constantly improve and come in every shift to be better. With being a firefighter, you also have to carry this image that the public is going to perceive you. When in comparison to something like the police agencies or sheriff's departments or any other thing that isn't really related to fire, there's just a natural attitude that people carry towards this profession. Firefighting in itself is an intrinsically challenging job, but it's our responsibility, and it's something that was bestowed upon me early on in my career, that we have to uphold the culture and standards that accompany choosing this as a job. Unbeknownst to me, when I first was introduced to this career, you're unfamiliar with the types of personalities that you'll run into. As a rookie fireman, I was able to meet several of my career-long role models, some of which have now moved on to other agencies or that I just no longer work with. Within those role models, typically they fall between an A-type personality and a B-type personality. Personally, those who held an A-type personality, I go along with a lot better than those with a B-type personality. And to characterize those two personality types a little bit more, A-type personalities tend to be a little bit more excitable, a little bit more aggressive, and a little bit more outgoing in comparison to their B-side counterparts. They're a little bit more rational, they rely a lot more on reasoning, and they're a little bit more reserved. To make a good fireman, I believe that there's a balance to be found between those two types, and many of my role models exhibited many of those different traits on either side. So now that I've told you about the type of people that I looked up to and the type of personalities that are in the fire service, I would now like to elaborate on how those shape the fire service traditions and the environment that it creates. So in the fire and EMS environment, you're expected to act like an adult. I started this career very young at 19 years old, and in this position where I'm at now, I was kind of expected to assume a role of acting mature and acting above my age. The public doesn't know that I'm only 21 years old when I arrive on an EMS call or the worst day of their life. In this career, we're paid to perform. We have very steep expectations placed on us, not only by ourselves, but our superiors and the public. In the fire service and in the EMS world, there's almost a rite of passage, most traditionally known as probationary period, that we are to train every day, accomplish task books, and ultimately just try to become those well-rounded firemen that you can within a year. Some agencies require more than a year. The most I've seen is up to 24 months of a probationary period. That rite of passage is also ingrained in those training standards that I briefly touched on, that with those training standards, you have to get those task books signed off, and you are expected to be progressing and building on the skills that you develop throughout those 2 years. So, in the beginning, I elaborated on the people that make up the fire service. Secondly, I illustrated how the environment looks based on the actions of those folks. And finally, I will discuss how it has affected me and changed me as an individual. So, on those probationary periods or the rite of passage, you're given a lot of time to do self-reflection and try to understand where you're going to take your next steps in order to grow as an individual. Being grateful every day that you can show up to work and learn lessons that you were able to receive on your probationary period, and understanding that knowledge is wealth in this profession. So in conclusion, we covered 3 very basic things here in today's speech. being fire EMS environment, and the growth that I was